Representative Robert Hagan, I think all of you know, is from District 60, a Democrat. Bobby was one of our legislative champions in the legislative battle, and is a 22-year veteran within the Ohio General Assembly.
Thank you, Tom, and appreciate everybody coming here. Obviously, you're hearing stories about the desperation of an industry that we saw in the early stages of passing this legislation. The frustration, of course, with many of us at the time of the introduction of some of the bills was that we knew that the industry had a lot of money, that they had a big wallet and that they would spend it, and they did, through hiring a multitude of lobbyists. Now we know that they've been gifted with over $800,000, and the industry is putting that out on the streets, $1 at a time, and obviously we're showing the dishonesty of the argument. I want to talk about a couple of personal encounters that I had, actually 3 of them, on the streets of Youngstown, where people actually asked me if I was a registered voter. A little frustrating for a 22-year veteran who spent $500,000 in advertising. I still don't know that I'm the legislator. But the facts are clear that as some of those individuals were asking whether I was a registered voter, I, of course, immediately went up to them and was willing to talk to them about it. Their first argument was that, would you sign the petition to lower the interest rate? And I said, lower it from what? And they said, well, they're not real sure what it would be. And I said, well, I understand it was somewhere close to 400%. Are you telling me that if I sign this, it'll lower it to less than the 400%? Yes, absolutely, it'll lower it then. I said, well, give me some kind of figure. And he said, well, I'm not real sure about it, but the bottom line is that it'll save 6,000 jobs. Aren't you interested in saving 6,000 jobs? And I said, well, of course we want to save 6,000 jobs, but I'm not sure that if the industry has to pay a lesser interest rate that we'll lose any jobs. Oh yeah, we're going to lose a lot of jobs. That was the first person that I ran into. The second was a woman who I asked who was paying her wage, or who was paying for her to do this, and she said the state of Ohio. And my son Jimmy was next to me. At that time we were at the Italian Fest in downtown Youngstown, and she said that the state of Ohio had actually employed her. And I said, really? What part of the state of Ohio? What department of the state of Ohio? Who actually? Well, actually, I'm from Pennsylvania, and they hired me to work in the state of Ohio. And I said, well, it was actually, are you an employee of the state of Ohio? And my son Jimmy then jumped in saying, well, it seems funny that the state of Ohio would hire you to knock a bill off or legislation off that they, in fact, passed. And she goes, well, I just work in the state of Ohio. So we asked her about the interest rates, and she says, oh yeah, it would reduce it sizable, down to almost nothing. And then the final one, of which I had my cell phone out, and I actually I told him that I was tape recording the conversation, and it was kind of interesting because the conversation went like, are you a registered voter? And I said, I certainly am. Would you sign my petition? And I said, that must be the Payday Loan Company. I said, yes, I am, and a registered voter. And he said, well, would you sign this? And I said, well, what will it do? And he said, well, it will lower the interest rate. I said, from what? And he said, well, lower it from somewhere way up there down to 5%. And I said, well, it's amazing. So as I brought my tape recorder out, I don't know if you can pick this up, but I did get this on it. I'll show you here in a minute. I should get my son Jimmy, who's more technical than I am. Let me run it again here. This time he hands it to me to read.
I thought it was 391%. I think kind of reduced it. Well, where's they trying to get it?
He hands it back to me to read.
So this is substitute House Bill 545, repeals existing object as lending law. So I'm gonna have to think about that, okay? Okay. All right, thanks a lot. What's your name? All right, thanks. So there you have it, another guy that's just like to me.
So I hold that for those of you that might be interested. And as you can see, what we're doing,
You were
what we're
co-sponsor of
saying,
that bill, weren't you? You were a co-sponsor, weren't you?
I was a co-sponsor of the
Your name
original
was on
bill.
that bill.
That is correct. And it is frustrating, by the way, for people not recognizing the fact that you're an elected official, but I think that the fact that they are desperate, just like the people that reached out for some of these loans, they were in desperate situations. And the people that are gathering these signatures are also desperate for their $1 that they're going to get for each signature. So for them to not have the information, for them not to inform everyone, for them to think clearly that the only way that they're going to get that dollar is to rush to the judgment of that signature and get that signature as quickly as possible. So I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Do you think this is a concerted effort by the payday loan industry to mislead people signing this petition? Or do you think it's just kind of a general confusion? It sounded like a lot of the people, when you pressed them on it, they really didn't know what was going on or you know, what the bill exactly
I think
did.
it's a little of both. I think that misinforming or giving information, or the lack of information that they're giving to their petitioners is an indication that they're trying to keep as little knowledge from them as possible so that they're not giving it out. As my son Jimmy and I discovered, and we did go on a crusade, by the way. You can go to any event in the next few weeks and find these petitioners out there. They basically were not informed about all the issues that we were informed about, and they were clearly concerned about getting us to sign as quickly as possible so they could move on to get the next signature and get the next dollar. One, and I forgot to mention, one of them, this woman in the middle, actually had two petitions. She had a petition for the casinos to put that on the ballot and the payday loan. So she was getting paid from both. And I also found that the last individual, there were about 5 people on the YSU campus where I got that tape, that they also had multiple petitions. So somebody had found them, or asking them to do this, and were guaranteeing that they would be paid. So I don't know that it's on purpose, but I do think that there's a good chance that the misinformation is what they're trying to push.